This is Matt Coyne, host of The Cheap Seats. Thank you for listening to the following broadcast here on Public House Media.
This is Ryan Pierce, host of Completely Serious here on Public House Media. Thanks for listening to the following broadcast on Public House Media. Once you're done with this episode, I hope you'll come check out my show, Completely Serious, where we talk about sports and have fun with great guests. Don't forget to subscribe on iTunes so you'll never miss an episode of Completely Serious. Thanks again for checking out the following broadcast on Public House Media.
Note Filter Friday on Public House Media, and I'm having sparkling water yet again because it is still crazy hot in LA. So we're going to take a second to share No Filter Friday with the rest of our Facebook friends, and then we are going to get into our discussion about Casey Affleck, which is like kind of second up because it's the most meat in the show. And then after that, before that, we're going to talk about half of Catfish, the Catfish duo from MTV. One is leaving, one is staying, controversy. So we're going to talk about that first. But first, before anything, we're going to share the broadcast so we can have our lovely and wonderful group discussion, because that's what it's all about. Oh, goodness. What a day. I think I'm just going to start doing the show. I'm just going to keep doing the show from my bathrobe from now on. I think that is the plan. Because why not? I mean, it's my real true form. The best version of me. Now we can go back to doing what we were doing and having a good time together. David Bobkey's here. David, does this sound okay? I'm really hoping it does. That's like my goal for the evening, is for it to sound okay, essentially. The best I can do on with what I've got. I think I might hit it with a little eye cream too. I did an eye cream today. Sounding good. Spectacular, David. Spectacular. That's what I want to hear. And it's also subsequently what you want to hear. It's good sound. It kind of doesn't matter what I say, so long as it sounds okay. Technically speaking, it's fine. Ugh. My eyes needed a little pick-me-up, a little sandy today. I had to go all the way to Malibu and back. A little dry up there, if you can believe it. So, a couple shows ago, we talked about some allegations that had come up against the main host of Catfish on MTV. The guy's name is Nev. And the network did their, investigation, and they found the accusations without merit, I believe was their exact quote. So even though the shows kind of had an extended hiatus, they decided that they're good to go and they're going to keep doing the show. Then basically, as soon as they decided that was going to happen, the other guy that's the host of the show decided that he wants to leave because he's not really a show host, even though he became one. He is a filmmaker, and he said that he can't keep straddling the line. But it does make me wonder, though, if there's something more going on there than meets the eye. If he's leaving a perfectly long-running show, they're on season 7 or something. They've done over 100 episodes, which is crazy to me. Because I remember when they first started doing that show and they were casting it, and they had every non-scripted casting director in town begging. I mean, they're hitting everybody from all angles. You find them in DMs across the board. People on the street, have you been catfished? What? The new restaurant? What are you talking about? They went so hard to try to cast the show, and they did it. They figured out how to make it a thing. I mean, and God love them, because I never thought they were going to get that show like off the ground. Like the casting is just too hard. Finding people that have online relationships that obviously aren't real, and it's just some weirdo on the other side of a keyboard professing their undying love to them. Oh God, reality TV production is for people with a very, very strong stomach. I don't know how they do it. I couldn't do it. Count me out. But they've been going for 7 seasons now. It's Jen Nicholson! Speaking of casting directors, oh my God, woman, I haven't seen you in forever. But I remember when they were trying to get that together, and they did find tons of people to cast on the show, and they keep going and going and going and going and going, which is, great. Like that's every TV show's dream, is to keep on trucking, but he said that his life, he can't keep straddling being a filmmaker and being a co-host for Catfish, which I can understand. Being on MTV at all is very, very, very difficult. I don't know how you could do anything else and be on any show over there. It's just not, especially one that you're hosting, and they kind of make it up as they go along. Like all the times that I work for MTV, like they have like a general idea of what they're going to do, but really they make it up on the spot, and they try stuff and they try stuff and they try stuff and they try stuff, and whatever ends up in the edit is whatever ends up in the edit. I just don't know. So I can totally see why he would want to leave, but it's kind of, I think he should have stayed another season or half another season, or like pass the baton to somebody else. Like they don't even have a replacement for him as of yet, or that they've announced. They said they don't have a replacement for him. I think it's going to be a lady. I think it's going to be a chick that's going to come co-host with him, or they're going to pull up some person that was on the show that's going to be like, this happened to me, it could happen to you, because that's Nev's kind of thing. That's why he ended up doing the show, is because he was catfished, and he decided that he wanted to make like this, anti-catfishing crusade, basically. So that's how that show was born. And reality loves dating shows. They love it. They love it. They love it. They love it. It's their thing. It is their jam. They love dating shows. So, I was on a dating show on MTV a million fulfilling years ago. Sucked. It was awful. It was a terrible experience, but they keep cranking them out. They've got the money for it. And it wasn't bad. The set wasn't bad. The premise was stupid, but it was definitely a crash course in shooting multi-cam, like playing to I think we had like a 12 camera setup. It was crazy. It was so big, but that was a kind of an interesting education. One of the things that I remember about working on that show, but I think they should have passed the baton, because it looks fishy, no pun intended, but like, oh, we had this thing happen, and then we had an extended hiatus. Just kidding. It's fine. We're going to keep going. Oh, we've lost a co-host. We don't know. It's like, it's a mess. It's a mess, but it's non-scripted, so I guess they can get away with these kinds of things. So Steven said he ran into him at a restaurant the other day in Culver City. So apparently he's out lunching. He's wining and dining. He's just not working, which is fine. Whatever. If he feels like he made his money and his impact on non-scripted, below-scale network reality television, good for him. Good for him for getting out. I don't blame him at all. Can't say that I do. Okay, so moving on to Casey Affleck, because he is like the dude du jour. So this story broke yesterday, really, really late. He gave an exclusive interview to AP, Associated Press. He gave them an exclusive sit-down, on-camera interview. If you want to watch the interview, it looks like that. Casey Affleck full interview. So, to recap what happened with Casey, to him what put him into the shadows, why he's coming out of the shadows, kind of, basically. When he was making this mockumentary with Joaquin Phoenix, who is a weirdo. Joaquin is a weirdo. I worked with him on this movie, Her, and he's a great actor. He's super good at it, but he's a strange cat. It's okay. That's fine. But I think that detail kind of got swept under the rug. And the thing about I'm Still Here, that mockumentary that they made, was about like, is a mockumentary, so it's not a real documentary, but it's like a fake documentary about the rise and fall of Joaquin Phoenix after his brother dying, basically. And these are weird people, okay? So it's going to be a strange thing. And apparently it was like a little patch. It wasn't like a real movie. I mean, it was a real movie, but it wasn't a full like funded movie. It was like a passion project of theirs. So it was very like down and dirty, guerrilla style, which, listen, I love guerrilla style. I make stuff guerrilla style all the time. That's fine. But it's exactly how you end up in these situations that these two ladies that sued Casey Affleck and his production company civilly for. That's how these things happen. They happen in any kind of environment, but that specific little passion project, hey, we're making this thing, you know, we're a ragtag bunch making this weird, you know, kind of movie that hasn't been done before. Let me tell you, it fosters crazy, unacceptable stuff that you wouldn't run into in other places. And on top of it, Joaquin Phoenix is weird. So you start, the baseline was weird. They had nowhere to go, but even weirder. So they're making this movie, and a lady producer on it and a lady DP on it that was supposed to be the director of photography. Eventually, they had both quit the movie and then came back on it and quit and came back on it. It's very convoluted in that way. Oh, my Angel Ambergy, hello, thanks for coming on. It's very convoluted in that sort of way. But essentially, it was a very small crew from what it sounds like. And both Casey and Joaquin did some weird stuff. One of the things that really sticks out at me okay, so let me back this up. If you don't know, Joaquin Phoenix and Casey Affleck at the time were brother-in-laws because, and Patricia Cross is here. Hi, Patricia. At the time, Casey Affleck was married to Summer Phoenix, Joaquin's and Rivers' sister. So they were related at the time. So one of the main things that the lady that was the producer on this complained about is that they were on the road filming somewhere, and Casey and Joaquin apparently took two chicks into her room, locked her out of her own room, and then proceeded to bone them while she was just sitting outside, hung out to dry. So while he was married, it was like a whole, I mean, cheating doesn't surprise me, and these whole antics don't surprise me, but that doesn't make them right. So that's just one of the many things that happened. Another lady that was the DP, when they were shooting in New York, in lieu of, again, passion project problem, in lieu of like getting Airbnbs or hotels or like rental, whatever kind of rentals for people to stay in, for the crew to stay in, they just all stayed in Casey's apartment in New York. And he told, pretty sure it was a DP woman, that, oh, you can have my bedroom, I'll sleep on the couch or whatever. And she wakes up in the middle of the night and he's like spooning her and like petting her and won't get up and go somewhere and behave himself and not be an idiot, basically. And she said that he reeked of alcohol while he was at it, which is not surprising. So she kicked him out, and he like slammed the door and like just decided to like scream a bunch of obscenities, and it was like a whole thing. So if those two incidents weren't enough, apparently they were also the object of daily abuse and profanity-laced diatribes. And I'm sure they wrote text messages and emails and stuff with crazy stuff in it, because if you're going to sue somebody civilly or criminally, really, I mean, if you're going to bring a case against somebody and you have stuff in writing, slam dunk. But anyway, so if you want to go read about what these two went through in this, there's an article in the Daily Beast called Casey Affleck's Dark Secret, the disturbing allegations against the Oscar hopeful. And it's written by Amy Zimmerman on the Daily Beast. And this was made on I'm Still Here, which came out before Manchester by the Sea. So last year, during Oscar season, he was supposed to present Best Actress with somebody else. And then that movie was made in 2008 and 2009. And I think they sued him in 2010. Or that's what the press says. If they're right, who knows? But so they sued him in 2010, and they both went to mediation, and they both settled. It didn't say for how much though. But that's a taste of what happened to these two female filmmakers. Oh, what a crossover. It's Female Filmmaker Friday, and it's No Filter Friday. Friday, folks. Okay, so in this article that AP put out, hang on, let me back up. So he decided against presenting last year. He was pretty much forced out of it, because people are like, you have no business presenting Best Actor. Oh, and Teresa's here. Hello, Teresa. You have no business presenting Best Actress. Just bow out. And they got two other great actresses to do it, and it went off without a hitch. Yay! And whoever won. I don't even remember. Does it matter? Probably not. Gosh, I was at an Oscar viewing party and I still forget who won, but that's besides the point. So he bowed out of it. Like, he was doing tons and tons of press for Manchester by the Sea, and then just bounced. He just, that gif of like Homer Simpson like backing up and becoming the bushes. That's basically what Casey Affleck did last Oscar season, which was a good PR move for him. And this little AP interview, I don't know whose leg he humped to get this nice softball interview from AP to promote his new movie called A Ghost Story. I don't know, man. Casey Affleck, like, these ladies, the main things that they talked about, other than those like, physical altercations, was like how he was always like berating them and like verbally abusive, and like encouraged the crew to do so too on set. And that's, if I had to guess, and it's not a stab in the dark, I'm pretty sure I'm right, it must have something to do with the fact, and like especially him cheating on set, like in front of everybody, like it has to have at least something to do with the chip on his shoulder about his brother being Ben, who is hotter, as we all know, way more famous, and pretty much gets to do whatever he wants, including playing Batman, when we all know Ben Affleck at his current age as Batman is kind of a stretch, to put it gently. And he got to dump Jennifer Gardner, who he has kids with, in the midst of like personally handpicking Emily Ratajkowski to be the lead in Gone Girl, and they have a bunch of very steamy scenes. I mean, it's like the guy can do no wrong. So of course, little Casey on his little movies with his weirdo friends, for no money, trying to make fetch happen and trying to make waves for himself at Oscar season when his brother can just breeze by, fart on a movie, collect a bunch of money and keep it moving, probably doesn't sit well with him. I remember I call this the trying to make fetch happen night because I tried to make fetch happen one time. One time I tried to make fetch happen, and you know what happened to me? Regina George herself came popping out of the woodwork, and fetch did not happen, people. What do we know about fetch? Don't try to make it happen. Fetch is never going to happen. So that evening at Ari Emanuel's Oscar party, which was a couple years ago. It wasn't last year. It was maybe the year before that, possibly. If you don't know who Ari Emanuel is the actual person that Jeremy Piven's character in Entourage, Ari Gold, is modeled after. And the character of Ari Gold in Entourage seems really crazy and big and over the top. And to be completely truthful, he is a watered down version of the real Ari Emanuel. Ari Emanuel would get up and pee. He would take his dick out and pee in the corner of conferences and be like, "This is what I think of this deal." I mean, he is a nutbag, but he throws bomb parties at his house. Is he in Bel Air or Beverly Hills? I guess he's in Beverly Hills. Kind of up Stone Canyon way. So anyway, his Oscar party is so lit. Everybody's there. It's amazing. And we were standing in his street is long, right? And the main street is down here and the house is back here with the driveway. So once you come around this corner and turn up, you not even turn up the street, but this side over here is just paparazzi just literally fighting each other, punching each other, kicking each other. Probably somebody got bit in there somewhere, trying to get shots of people coming in and out of the house. So then you walk up the driveway a little bit, and it's kind of tented. And then you hit this big tent that has desks and chairs and things, and that's where you get checked in for the party. And then once you get past that, that's the inside of the his yard party, whatever. So we're in this tent, and again, we tried to make fetch happen, so we just decided to cut and run. At the same time, Alessandra Ambrosio's coming out, and she's literally waiting for her Uber this to come down the hill and get her. So, so amazing. It was so cute to see. And then, Regina George herself put the kibosh, her presence put the kibosh on me trying to make fetch happen. So she's over here waiting for her car because apparently, she's too good for Uber and Lyft. Which, I mean, she's Regina George. She's allowed to be too good for whatever she wants. And Ben comes out, gets in his car, and Casey has to walk up the rest of the hill. I think he's driving a Charger or something. Yeah, I think he had an orange, maybe it was either a Charger or a Challenger. I forget what it was, but Ben got in his car to all these paparazzi flashes, and Casey had to walk like a knave up to his car and get in it and sit in traffic on the way down the hill and slowly drive past the 40 paparazzi that have zero interest in taking his picture. They're actually trying to see over his car to get pictures of more famous people coming down the driveway. That is and that was before these allegations. Oh, hush, computer. That was before these allegations came out. So if you can imagine now that was what his life was like before. That was good Casey Affleck. That was Casey Affleck getting it. He actually got into Ari Emanuel's party and had a good time and high-fived his hotter, richer brother as he got in his car and he had to walk to his. So that's essentially, when I think of Casey Affleck, I think of that. That's what I think of when I examine their relationship and what he's doing with his life. That's what I think of, is him walking to his car and paparazzi trying to see over him to get a shot of someone who actually sells magazines. So that has absolutely a lot to do with all this abusive behavior, because anybody in this town will tell you that in the words of Woody Harrelson, the tippy top of the A-list is like the nicest, coolest people ever. Your George Lucases, your Tom Hanks, people like that. They're all Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise is a weirdo. He jumps on couches. Everyone knows he's a part of this like wonky, crazy Scientology, and he hires all of his friends and blah, 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 blah. The nicest guy ever. He gives super awkward hugs, but so nice. He remembers everyone's name. Michael Jackson was the same way. Weirdo. Can't say that he wasn't, but he was so nice to everyone, and nobody has a bad word to say about him in that way. And there is no footage anywhere of any of these huge people berating anyone. It's people with chips on their shoulders, like Casey Affleck, that run around, I'm a big deal, I'm going to yell at you, and I'm going to do whatever I want to, and you're just going to take it. And then he tried to take away the woman that was the DP, who sued her first, by the way, when she decided to quit the project for like the umpteenth time. She's like, I'm leaving, you're a crazy person, this is going nowhere. He tried to take her credit for shooting the movie, for being the DP. He tried to like take her name out of the credits, which is like, classic careerless wretch move. Classic move. Seen it so many times. People are like, I'm gonna take your credit. Take my credit take my name off from beside your name? Yes, please do. Please do that. And that's what's going to happen to these people. They can sit around and give interviews to AP and say things like, let me get you the direct quote because I don't want to misquote him. This was his response to they asked him, during your Best Actor Oscar campaign for Manchester by the Sea, allegations resurfaced regarding 2 civil lawsuits from the making of your film I'm Still Here that were settled in 2010, but we haven't heard from you since #MeToo and Time's Up became a big talking point in the culture. Has that made you reflect or reevaluate anything about the experience or the atmosphere on set? This was his response, which you can see in a video, and you could really get the meats and the potatoes of this. But first of all, that I was ever involved in a conflict that resulted in a lawsuit is something that I really regret. I wish I had found a way to resolve things in a different way. I hate that. I never had any complaints like that made about me before in my life, and it was really embarrassing, and I didn't know how to handle it, and I didn't agree with everything the way I was being described and the things that were said about me, but I wanted to try to make it right, so we made it right in the way that was asked at the time, and we all agreed to just try to put it behind us and move on with our lives, which I think we deserve to do now, and I want to respect them as they've respected me and my privacy, and that's that. And he gets very mea culpa about this, like, I've learned a lot over the last few years, and blah, 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 and I'm trying to be a better parent and a model father for my 2 boys, and we're going to women's marches, and this, that, and the other thing, and like, okay, great. We should all be, if you're a parent, you should be striving to be a better parent for your kids, obviously. But I'm thinking, considering how this came out, because this came out late last night, I have a feeling that they were hoping for some other big story to break today, because it is Friday and not too much came down the pipeline, but, it's not over yet. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I guess it's on the East Coast. Friday, it's over. But, I think they were hoping for something big to come out and just like blow it over, and he could keep on doing press for a ghost story, kind of like under the radar. His whole career was under the radar, so why not? But anyway, sucks to be Casey Affleck, but it sucks to be a person that has a giant chip on your shoulder and they're just so insecure about their own situations and shortcomings that they just can't seem to keep their mouth shut or their feet out of their mouths. They just can't do it. But, poor little Casey Affleck. I think he'll keep doing press for this. And unless something else comes out against him, his stuff does well, like award show wise, because that's the kind of things that he makes. It's like award season bait. Like that's the kind of movies that he makes. But I don't think anything's really going to happen. All that, I mean, he has to pay those settlements, which, you know, what you going to do about that once you have once you get an agreement, you have an agreement. But oh, my phone, it's too crazy. But I think he'll just keep quietly doing press, and like other big stories will come out and completely overshadow it, which I think was the point. But great PR from his camp. They get a gold star in public relations and crisis management. Absolutely, for sure. Okay, folks, I think that is where we will leave our No Filter Friday. So I will see you all next week. And who knows what's going to happen between now and then? We have no idea. Anything can happen. Anything could go. So I'm going to have some more sparkling water. And that is this week's No Filter Friday on Public House Media. It is available as a podcast version on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Google Play, Apple Podcasts, like all those places. Give it a like or a subscribe, a rating, a review, a color, a locker, any of that stuff. Go give it. And I will see you next week. See you later.